Welcome to an all new episode of Figure It Out. This is the show where we break down some of our favorite figures and tie it in to whatever our topic is. But since this week, this is a continued show from last week, we are just going to pick up right where we left off. But as you see, returning as always, starting off with Pete. What's going on, Pete?
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. I got my Tales from the Crypt shirt on.
We
are prepared to talk about our favorite horror comics. Salud.
Yep. I already have a comic in mind, so I can't wait for that. And also, Jaydee, what's going on, Jaydee?
What is up, everyone in Streamland? How are we doing tonight? I hope everyone has a tasty beverage ready for the evening's proceedings.
Absolutely. I will say, every time I see that dark side in the background, it makes me so sad I don't have it.
Yeah.
Like, part of me wishes I had the ability to just reach through the screen, just grab it.
You know, he goes for money, dude. He goes for bank, man.
I know. As soon as the day you showed it to me, I did my Googles. Shit ain't cheap. It is not cheap.
Because I sold the Grail that came with him.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't want her. She meant nothing to me. And that alone, I got almost, I think, $60 for her.
Jeez, goodness
gracious.
This toy world we live in is not one for the cheap.
It is not.
Gracious. All right, so I want to just jump right into this. I want to start off with this one I thought we could have a lot of fun with. Best non-slasher horror movie. You know, I know a lot of people think, we said this last week, that horror is a tree that branches off a lot. I spoke to my dad and told him, like, some of the stuff we brought up. He's like, that's not horror. I'm like, Dad, but it is. Like, I know you don't consider it, but it is. Which, by the way, Pete, the movie you brought up where
Event Horizon?
I think it might have been that, where the zombie was grabbing the chick through the closet.
Oh, no, Zombie. It was called Zombie.
Okay. Let me tell you how angry my dad got at me, right? My dad, for years, has been telling me about that movie, right? That I need to see. I mean, for the longest. So picture how pissed he is when I'm telling him about what you said, and he's sitting there and he's like, that's what I told you years ago. And I'm like, is it? He's like, Juwaan, yes. I used to walk to the local theater with my friend, and we'd sit there and do like a horror movie marathon. It'd be like movie after movie. That was one of them. And he was like, we loved it. And I was just like, I don't remember that at all. Like, it sounded cooler when Pete said it, but I don't remember. So he was not happy at all. But the good news is, my dad did say whenever we did a sci-fi episode, he wants to be on it.
Awesome.
Nice.
So
I was just about to tell you, like, yo, we got to hang out with your dad at some point.
I told him he's not allowed to be on because if he's good, you guys will want to replace him.
Yeah, no, dude.
That's not gonna happen.
We're going through these episodes. The way you talk about him, I like him better than you already.
We'd be like, yo, Juwaan, we busy on Tuesday. We sorry.
I know. Sorry. You could watch us though.
I log on to YouTube and I see Figure It Out, all new episodes. It's like, I don't think I was on this one. When did they shoot this?
No, better yet, we'll ask you to edit the videos that we did. We'll have your dad give it to you, so you got to do it.
Knowing me, I would do it. I would cry while I'm doing it, but I'd do it. So that sci-fi episode will be one we definitely have to put in the books sometime soon. But all right, so like we said, best non-slasher horror movie. Jaydee, I'll start off with you.
Okay, we're prepped for this one, Papa. Ready?
Let's do it.
Right here.
Nice.
It's Stephen King flick. All right, and this was not a movie theater Stephen King flick. This was a made-for-TV movie, and this is one of the scariest fucking things you can ever see. It was a two-parter. After it did so well, they did do a theatrical cut. They edited it down to about an hour and a half, but this is like a 4-hour flick with commercials and stuff like that. One of the scariest moments in this flick is there's a scene where the vampires are crawling through like the basement crawl space, and they're on each side of the wall. I mean, it's a simple shot, you know. But just the effect that it had, and the eyes glowing through the dark as you see the figures start to show up. Wow, 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 wow. Salem's Lot from Stephen King. Best, in my opinion, non-slasher horror film.
I like it. I like it. I consider that a deep cut. I would say probably 95% of mainstream has never heard of that.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, those are the best kinds of movies. The ones that haven't been mainstreamed by society, to where it's just like now we've.
But it was mainstream.
It was.
It's yeah, dude. Like I said,
for the '80s when it came out, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
You
what
know,
you're saying.
and it's a Stephen King flick. You know, so it carries the Stephen King. I don't want to say seal of approval, but the '80s Stephen King marketing seal of approval. You know, it is one of those flicks that has fallen down through time. You know, it lost the notoriety that it once had. But you ask anybody who knows about Salem's Lot, you can watch the edited version on WPIX on a Saturday night, and it is still going to keep you up that evening.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember that movie being on. And my father loved Salem's Lot. He said it was the scariest book he ever read. I remember that. And I remember watching the series with him and being, I was, 4 or 5 years old. So this was pretty traumatizing for me at the time. Like, I remember being scared shitless of this. And I remember, I don't remember the character's name, but I remember the Count at the end, like this with the 2 fangs in the front. And
that he was based
mad Nosferatu. Yeah. Like Count Orlok. And I remember the scene where the guy's in the graveyard and he's like digging up the coffin to, put the stake through his heart. And the sun's going down and we're all sitting there like, yo, hurry up, bro. Like, come on, dig faster.
You said Nosferatu, right?
Yeah.
We're talking horror comics. Nosferatu right there, baby. The original. I know this is a little off track, but if anyone has ever saw Interview with a Vampire.
Yes.
It was a little bit campy. John Malkovich. Oh my God. Why can't I? His name just came out of my fucking head. Green Goblin. What's his name?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu.
Yes.
Where they made fun of the behind the scenes of the original Nosferatu movie.
He was Max Schreck.
Yes.
And he was in character the entire time.
Yes. If you get a chance, watch Interview with a Vampire. Very, very good movie. Super underrated. Not a horror flick per se, but has the horror elements in it.
It's a good flick. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, Heath Ledger credits that idea of that method acting of being in character all the time with how he did the Joker. Because he was he was like the Joker on set. Just, once you get that mindset.
You meant Willem Dafoe was Max Schreck?
When he was the original guy, the original actor, back in I think that movie was like 1928 or so, in character as the vampire the entire time. So Willem Dafoe also did that. And what's his name? Heath Ledger credited both of those as the idea for like how he went at the Joker.
Holy shit.
I remember reading that somewhere.
And it comes back to horror. It comes back to being inspired by horror. You look at that.
Always. It just paves the way for everything.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. All right, so for mine, correct me if I'm wrong. I wasn't sure on this. Do you guys consider it a slasher film?
Not at all.
Not at all, right? I didn't think so.
Wait, the remake or the original?
The remake.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it has any elements of a slasher. I was just making sure. Okay. So I want to say the first one, but I really did enjoy that second one a lot. I'm going to go the first one, mainly because I did see parts of the original, but like I always say, watching movies out of time for certain movies just really doesn't do it for me. So I went into this kind of not really fully knowing about the story It. So I'm watching it, I'm just like, man, this makes me want to go back and watch the original. So I did. But what he was able to do with children in a movie that very much felt adult was really, really, really well done. And I already have a fear of clowns, but that shit just, oof, did that intensify it. Oof.
Yeah. Well, I hated that. I hate clowns. And talking about staying in character, what's the name? Skarsgård stayed in character.
Yep.
The shit out of the kids, man.
Yeah. I would, because like, could you picture just wanting to go up to him and say like, man, this was like a really good day of shooting. And he's doing like all the crazy Pennywise stuff. And it's just like, all right, I'm gonna go back to my trailer. Like I can't, I can't deal with that. But no, I thought that was such a well done movie. The second one was done even better. And it's just, it's a franchise that I thought I'd be content with just two, because we kind of know that's how the original did it. But part of me kind of wants to see where else they can go with it. I mean, to me, I kind of feel like the original only did two.
They showed you where they could go with it.
Wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They showed you where they could go with it with that shitty Dark Tower movie.
No. By the way, can I say it takes extreme talent to make a movie with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey really garbage? It takes a talent, like a real talent.
Because what isn't that what they all were? They were all what the clown was, right?
Well, the Guardians of the Beam there were 12 beams connecting to the Dark Tower, and each
the pizza pie theory, right?
Right. Okay. And each of those 12 beams was like represented by this eternal guardian, this animal figure or whatever.
The turtle.
Right. Maturin was one of those. That's why there were so many turtle references in the new movie. The turtle was like its arch enemy.
Okay.
So he wasn't like one of those 12 beams. He was like the reverse of it, where he served the Crimson King, who was like basically like the devil kind of thing.
So the Crimson King wasn't McConaughey.
No. McConaughey was like the Crimson King's right-hand man. He was the Man in Black, the Walter O'Dim. He had a few other names. Randall Flagg is also supposed to be the same guy. Yeah,
he was from The Stand.
It's all the same guy, like throughout King's stories.
Wait, the same guy in the same slice of pizza, or the same guy
traveling
represented in each
through
slice?
Different, like like the Dark Tower is like the center of the multiverse, and those beams are all different universes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a universe builder that to me would be great, and if Dark Tower were better,
that shit needed a series and a half. Like, forget movie.
I believe they're doing a series for Dark Tower now.
Really? Why?
Yeah, they're gonna make it. Well, I mean, I think they want to clean up how poorly the movie was done. So it's like if we can maybe go back, because I do believe certain things are meant to be a show. They don't have to be.
I agree.
But no way you were going to put it on, let's say, Stars and be able to afford Idris and Matthew McConaughey. Right. So you had to make it a movie. So to me, build your universe to where it kind of weaves in and out of the movies and TV shows.
But you don't need Idris. You don't need a name.
Oh no,
look at Lovecraft. Look at Lovecraft Country. Yeah. You know what I mean? They built their names.
Mm-hmm.
They did,
And now look at that kid. Now he's playing Kang in Loki.
You know what? Forget about him for a second. Give me more Journey Smollett. I'll take her in a fucking second, man.
Not for nothing.
Shit.
Her sister, I don't know the actress's name, but she was a little thicker in all the right places.
Oh, yes.
My God, I loved her.
Yes.
She was so pretty.
Yes. Did you see that movie did you get to see that movie I told you guys about?
No, which one was that?
Where she was the immigrant in England? Was it you guys that was telling me?
No, you did. I remember you did tell me. I just didn't get a chance to check it out yet. You did tell us.
Damn, man, I had a lot of shots. You got to remind me of that one.
Okay.
But no, I'm with you on the idea, JD. They don't need them. So the show isn't going to be with them. You don't need it. I'm just saying you couldn't have done a show back then with big names, because it's like, I don't know where you would have put it that outside of HBO where you could have afforded them.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, they obviously did it to bring attention to it because I never heard of Dark Tower. I only went to go see it based off those two guys, so I get why they did it, but it shouldn't have been that bad.
Back in like the early 2000s, Marvel started releasing comic books of it, and that's where I learned everything because I never sat down to read all of those novels because they get increasingly larger as he goes along. But the comic books were great, but they fell off like halfway through it because you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Never finished.
They left you hanging for it, you know. With the Jaydee covers, they were looking really nice.
Yo, how dope were they, man?
Yeah. Jaydee always had that, I guess, I don't want to say demonic art style, but I mean...
But yeah, that super gothic-y, sharp edges. Yeah.
So, he turned me off with his work on Hellshot. You guys remember the Hellshot comic?
No, I don't.
No, good, because there was only 2 issues. It was during the Image days.
So do you guys think that they could do let me not ask that. Would you guys be interested in an It Chapter 3?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
They killed him at the end, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's but I kind of felt as though that was one of those things to where it's like, yes,
I would be down for an It Chapter 0. Like, give me the stories beforehand. Give me
like the Native Americans and stuff?
Or when there was the fire in the Black Club and like everybody died. Give me all of the shit he did in Derry leading up to there.
But see, that's a formula, Pete, I want everyone who does horror movies to take. You're introducing a character, right? Like this huge villain. Mm-hmm. Don't give a backstory, because when Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, if by the third movie the well starts to go dry, there's so much story of how that character came to be that you can go back and visit. But now we get, this is why they're killing people because like their mom burned down their house when they were 5. And it's like, well, now you can't go back and do anything with that. You just showed me that. You know? So it's like, kind of leave it a little bit open-ended so you got room to go back when it starts the well starts to get a little dry.
Like Underworld, Rise of the Lycans. It was the third one.
You know what's so crazy about Underworld? Underworld feels so long to me. I don't know when that well went dry. I just remember there were just so many movies.
Yeah. I didn't like the first and the third one. I felt...
You didn't like the first one?
Garbage. The first and the third, that's it. 1 and 3.
Oh, that was the one you liked.
Yeah, number 2 was shit.
Okay. I was going to say, the first one to me is iconic just off of the Kate Beckinsale vampire sex scene. Like
a Vampire Matrix. It was great.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Before I move on to you, Pete, Joe, I wanted to ask you, would you be interested at all? Because we loved It Chapter 2. Would you be interested if they came out and were like, they had something in mind for an It Chapter 3?
I'm always down for more It, even though I do believe they did kill him at the end. So it would probably have to be a prequel. But yeah, sure. Yeah. I remember the original It from like the TV movie. That movie scared the shit out of me. Like I had nightmares because that fucker came out the drain, like in the shit at the school. That fucked me up because, like, you know,
in the bathroom. Yeah,
my place. That's like my haven. When you get into. I was scared shit. I was like, I'm not even safe in the bathroom. Man. I was fucked up.
That's crazy to be. Think about that. To be scared shitless while taking a shit. Like it's just like you can't get any worse than that, can you?
Yeah.
See, but the perfect place to explore that concept, Juwaan, that you talk about, would have been Hulu with the Castle Rock series. You know, you could have Bill Skarsgård in there.
Yeah.
And it's just like you went in a totally different fucking direction in season 1 and 2, man. And it's just like
good. Season 2, not so much.
Season 2, I had no interest in when I found out that it wasn't from the same people who did season 1.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, if you're done with that story, I'm done too. Like, I don't really want to continue.
No, I went for it because I really liked. Speaking of non-slasher horror, you know, Misery was a tough horror flick to watch.
That was a nutty one.
Yes, it was. Really quick, Joel, was it an idea we had, or was Pennywise in the new Mortal Kombat game?
No, that was an idea. I came up with a game when I started noticing that they started including monsters and like action heroes. So like I asked you, who would you like if you had to pick a monster to include. I think you chose Pennywise.
Okay, all right, yeah, that would be so fucking dope.
Okay, we need to collaborate on that a little bit because I made a graphic for like just a horror monsters game, Mortal Kombat style.
Oh
I gotta
yeah,
send that to you.
Oh,
please do.
I put some work into that one. I'm pretty proud of it.
Shit, Pete, that might be what we have to talk about before we leave tonight.
Guys, you never heard the story that Mike Landis wants to do with uniting the all the horror properties into one? He was on Fat Man Beyond before it became that. And he was breaking it down to Kevin Smith, and pretty much he wanted oh my God, Finn from Star Wars. What's his name?
John Boyega.
He wanted John Boyega to die in a house of one of the other children that died on Nightmare on Elm Street. One of the but the parents from Nightmare on Elm Street made a deal with Pinhead to go after Freddy. So now you got John Boyega, who's traveling through the dream world to try to find his way out. And he teams up with all the horror elements. He teams up with Fred Krueger, who doesn't know why he's stuck in hell. He teams up with Jason before he puts the mask on.
Wow.
He teams up with Chucky before he gets
possesses a doll.
Possessed. And he teamed up with somebody. So it almost became like a horror Wizard of Oz. So he was traveling with four of the horror icons as they made their way out of hell to try and face Pinhead on their fucking way out.
Wow.
That's pretty dope.
I want to know more about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the more I hear about it, the more I'm kind of just like,
oh my God, was it Fat Man or Batman or with Hardwick? One of the two. But dude, he broke down the whole fucking movie. He wanted John Boyega in it. He wanted Breaking Bad, what's his name, to be the dad that made the deal with Pinhead. Just describing it, I was like, oh, I'm drooling.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be terrified to watch it, but I'd be interested 100%. Hey, I don't ever lie, man. I get scared with shit. Pete, what non-slasher horror movie would you put in there?
So I had a little bit of a list. I want to give a quick honorable mention to one that surprised the hell out of me that I never thought was going to be scary, The Grudge, because it was Sarah Michelle Gellar. But that movie creeped the hell out of me, even more than The Ring. And The Ring got me.
Okay.
But, whoa. Hold on. What was the movie again that you're saying? Not the other one.
Not The Ring, The Grudge.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay, that's it.
yeah.
Okay. Don't do that again. No. Stop that. No. Continue with what you were saying.
Again, I had the DVDs, the Blu-rays last week, but I didn't bring them down this time. The Fog, the original The Fog from 1980. Okay. I think it was John Carpenter. It's one of the scariest movies I ever saw when I was a kid. Please ignore the new 2005 remake. God, it was awful. House. It's on Amazon Prime. I highly suggest you watch this. Man. It's a little campy, but man, it's got a lot of great jump scares.
Yes.
And the big bad is played by none other than Bull from Night Court, Richard Mall. Yes.
Yep. I love that flick, dude.
Jay, when he opened the closet and that thing came out.
Oh my God.
Oh man, that 5-year-old Pete almost fucking went himself. Telling you right now.
So, me and Pete are almost similar in age, and the main character in that film was William Catt, who was a superhero. So you followed him. You ever heard of The Greatest American Hero, the guy with the red suit?
Yep. Terrible. Yes.
Right. So he was the main character in that flick, man. Oh man,
wow, this friggin' movie, man.
Yeah.
I don't count zombie movies as slashers, even though there is still the idea of like one at a time getting picked off. But Return of the Living Dead is still probably my favorite zombie movie of all time.
Which one is that?
That's the one from 1985 where they it almost like picks up where the first one left off, but they find the canisters in the basement. It's the same. The older gentleman is the same guy. Yeah, the cemetery one.
The Pathmark guy.
Right. And they release the gas, and but now there's the zombie in the basement, like the tar man, like brains, and then he sees the guy on the stairs. He's like, more brains, and he just grabs his head and bites him. It was hilarious, but it was fucking horrifying. And then, but the worst part was they hit him in the head, and it didn't kill him. And they're like, well, it worked in the movie. He was like, well, it's not working now. There was no way to kill these sons of bitches. You couldn't do it. They did not die, period. And that was actually the first running zombie film, because when the paramedics would show up, they ran out of their hiding place, grabbed the paramedics, ripped them out of the ambulance, and then one of them got on a horn. And he was like, send more paramedics. And I was like, son of a bitch, they're talking, they're intelligent. Like, this is bad. This is real bad.
That was bad. It was 80s. It was
85,
80s,
man. 1985.
high punk. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, Lena Quigley was, just super punked out and taking her clothes off in the cemetery. It was mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Creep Show, both Creep Shows. Just watch both of them together, because there's some flakes in there, but there's some really fantastically scary ones. Like that. I mean, it looks like a damn garbage bag in the lake at this point, but that scene with that blob in the river, man, that's creepy as hell. Mm-hmm. And like this dude gets to I won't even spoil it for you if you've never seen it, but like they're on a raft and there's this like thing just swinging around them like the blob, and it just eats people. But bar none, my absolute favorite is still Event Horizon, man. It's a sci-fi horror, and I watched this in the movies when surround sound was like kind of just first getting introduced, and when a sound came from behind the actor, it came from behind you. He was like, what the fuck? Where are you motherfuckers? Yeah, scary ass flick. Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill, phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
I like that. I always said, Pete, some theme park should come up with this for the entire month of October. Horror movies, right? Like the theme park actually shows horror movies, but it's the 4 dimension. So it's like when like let's say they're outside and it's like, something's chasing them, like you feel the wind like on legs, or or it's suspenseful, so like it gets really quiet and then like something like maybe tickles your leg or something like that. Like to me, that would be the ultimate experience without something actually physically jumping out to scare you. But they do that. Actual horror movie.
They do
horror movie. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's the haunted forest stuff. Which
Juwaan doesn't like the live action shit. No, he won't go with me to those damn those haunted farms.
Haunted forest will fuck you the fuck up.
Yeah,
dude.
It's fun though. Those things are so fun,
dude.
Because here's my problem. I'm not tough at all. But if that shit jumps out at me, I'm gonna want to throw hands. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I just don't want myself in that situation at all.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be the guy that ruins the fun for everybody because I'm terrified. So.
I got a funny story for you. Speaking of throwing hands, I could never really go to like one of those really physical ones, because like if you're gonna give me the real life experience of being in a horror movie, I'm gonna give you the real life experience too, because I'm gonna fight back. Right. So a friend of mine for my birthday one year took me to, there used to be this haunted house in Times Square called Times Square, New York. And this shit was open all year round. So my birthday's in January. We went in like February. There's nobody there. So we basically had the run of the place. I got lost, first of all. I wound up literally behind the set pieces. I have no idea how that happened. Person's like, he's looking at me like, you're not supposed to be here. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm lost. So they lead me back around. And then this guy who looks like a kind of executioner from Silent Hill, he was like, did you enjoy your tour, pretty boy? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So we're walking through and we get to the end, and there's this one guy that's just like leaning up against like a hospital bench or whatever. And he's like, that way. So we go. And then there's like a body on a gurney. It's all like opened up, stripped apart and shit. And there's like nowhere to go. You're in this the hospital room and it ends. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And all of a sudden I look back like to go ask this person a question, and they're literally walking down the dark ass hospital hallway slowly with a chainsaw. And the chainsaw is on. And I hear it. And I'm like, Nah, I mean, and I go back in the hospital room and I'm like, yo, there's my hand. And I go back again, and now the son of a bitch is running with the chainsaw. And at this point, I just went white as a ghost. And like, we don't know where the fuck we going. There's nowhere to go. I had a dead end hospital room. We run to the back of the room, and I swear to God, the door flips around like there was a fake ass wall or something. And we come around the other side, and there's this girl like just waiting to give us a jump scare. And I punched this girl in the face.
Oh,
I felt so badly. It wasn't like I'm ready to fight or nothing.
Shit.
It was really like a not
reaction.
in the face. Like I was just scared shit, and she was too close to me. It was like that, and I felt my knuckle go across her nose. Not like I slammed her, but like I felt it. I hit her. And I go to apologize, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" And she's like, "Don't touch me, human." I'm like, "All right, you're still in character, so you're good."
You're good.
Yeah.
I didn't knock the crazy out of you.
Yeah, I was
Still
so
clearly
worried.
Crazy.
I'm like, we're getting thrown out of here now. Fortunately, it was the end of it, but yo, it was a really good tour, man. I got the shit scared out of me.
Yeah,
like,
no, Joel's been trying to.
I know in my head he can't actually hurt me with the chainsaw, but until you're at the opposite end being chased by a guy with a chainsaw, there's a feling that comes over you, fake or not.
Yeah.
You never know how crazy people are.
Yeah.
I told Joel, I can't. I don't have it in me.
So I did a haunted forest with one of my exes, right? And it kind of felt like I was in a slasher flick. And I know how the good guy boyfriend that you really hope would make it to the end, how he dies. Because that fucking chick was holding me the fuck back. I'm like, just shut the fuck up and keep walking. You're going to get me killed in this fucking...
Yo, you ever watch Sinbad?
Dies.
Oh,
you know what
my
I mean?
God.
That's how you kill Kevin Bacon. It's because of somebody else's fucking fault.
You ever watch Sinbad back in the day when he did stand up?
Oh my God.
When he was talking about like, you know, some of the boyfriends would be like, oh, if they're fighting Dracula, like, I'll fight Dracula. You're going to fight Dracula for your woman. Hell no. You can't beat Dracula. And if you're running faster than me, I'll trip you. It's like, Drac, get her. She's got 2 sisters, fat ones, lots of blood.
At least 8 punts.
There's just people better off than me. No, but I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, I can't be a part of that. I'm just my nerves. They're always on high. You know what I'm saying? So it's like not the kind of person you want to put in that environment. I did want to add, since you had your honorable mention, Pete, I did want to throw out my honorable mention. Again, not necessarily a horror movie, more thriller. But Shutter Island. It's the one Leonardo DiCaprio movie no one ever talks about. And that was so
fucking loved it.
Well done.
Didn't see that ending coming at all. Good flick.
The ending fucked me up.
Yeah, and you know what? I know, and you guys might probably feel the same way. Another movie that made me feel the same way I did at the end of Shutter Island, wasn't as good, but I did enjoy it, was Sucker Punch.
I like Sucker Punch.
Yeah, young Oscar. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see the ending coming, and Zach did a great job with the visuals throughout that movie.
I think that's my favorite Zach movie. Funny enough, a lot of people hate it. But one of the reasons why Sucker Punch died out is because it came out right before Inception. And once the buzz was coming out with Inception, the other DiCaprio flick, everybody stopped talking about Shutter Island.
You know, it's crazy. Very blasphemous, but that's the kind of person I am. I enjoy Shutter Island more than I do Inception. I really do. Because it's the idea of, because think about this. I always say, when you're an action movie, like a futuristic kind of action movie, no one really focuses on the story. It's how they get caught off guard because their focus is on the good visual pieces of it being an action movie. So the fact that Shutter Island is not an action movie, it's literally just a thriller that is holding you and still catches you off guard, to me is added point. So that's what I give it. But yeah, Shutter Island, that's the one Leo movie that when you mention, people go, that wasn't Leo, and it's like, no, it was.
Yeah,
it was
totally
also
was.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, no, dude, great cast, man. Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo was his partner in the flick. Oh my God, the original Casey Jones, what's his name?
Fuck.
You see, you guys should know, you Ninja Turtles guys.
I never know this guy's name because I always get him confused
With the guy from CSI, right?
Yes.
or Law and Order, whatever it is.
He's Greek. It's a Greek name.
Yeah, it's
Hold on, I brought it up. Hold on. Wait, I'm just saying the cast. Leo, Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley, Michelle Williams,
Michelle Williams,
Max von Sydow,
right?
Sydow. I'm sorry. Jackie Early Haley, John Carroll Lynch, Elias
Koteas.
Yep.
That's him.
That's him.
Yes. And you know, a lot of people sleep on Jackie Earle Haley, but
He's
dude,
good.
Jackie Earle Haley's version of Freddy, I really like that fucking version of Freddy.
Really?
A lot of people shit on remakes, but his Freddy Krueger, it brought it back to just a ruthless fucking killer, man. You know, after the first Freddy, everything got campy. It became the one-liners. The Dream Warriors was fucking Freddy and D&D. You know, come on, man.
That was fun.
I'll tell you why I didn't like that version.
Why?
I fully accept Freddy as a child murderer, because if you've ever babysat or at all taught kids in any shape or form, you kind of get it. But
I did.
I can't condone Freddy as a child molester. That's
right, but
I don't like that.
You're not supposed to like him. That's the thing.
I know, but I want to like him.
You're not supposed to like
him. And I'll say this. I said this to Joel. We were telling Tia when she was talking about the Munsters movie. We were saying how every remake today, like the 80s, were super campy, right? So it's why Freddy Krueger was more humorous. It's why you can kind of go, I fucking love this guy, right? So
I didn't love him.
Well, no. I just mean like
shit out of me.
It was more campy, right? So then you fast forward to present day, everything that's a remake is looking to go way darker. I mean, hell, Joel, you even told me the last Rambo that came out was just 1,000,000 times bloodier than anything else.
I love that. Wow,
No. So I'm saying everything looks to go to that. So I was fine with it going more serious, but it was the idea of, it was a tall order of going from campy and humorous Freddy to this Freddy that's just like, I do the worst possible shit ever. And it's like worse than what you've seen before. And it's like, I don't know if I like that, Freddy. I kind of like you when you weren't that bad. Like, you know, when you'd occasionally make a guy explode with blood, you know, in a bed. I'm okay with it.
He was always a child killer to me, so it was never something that I never liked him anyway, because it always scared the shit out of me. I didn't like anybody that can get into my dreams. Again, safe place, and you're getting in there with dreams. And like,
now you know why I hate Willy Wonka. Safe place. You're getting into my safe zone.
Yeah, I will say, don't. You can mess with my dreams. Don't ever mess with my food. Don't play with my food. I don't like that. I'm a big boy. Don't play with my food. Don't play with my food. So Joel, I'm gonna pass it off to you. You're one of your favorite non-slasher horror movies.
Well, non-slasher horror. Well, what would that be?
So, like, for example, so like Shutter Island would be that. Pete, what was your one that you put up, Pete?
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Jaydee was the one you
liked Event Horizon.
Dylan's a lot.
And I put up It.
I
put up It. You came in as we were talking.
It was like a horror movie.
No. Non-slasher. It could be a horror movie. It just can't be a slasher.
Not like a Friday the 13th or Freddy.
Or yeah, I get it. Okay. Without no known slashers involved.
Right. No Scream.
Right.
Okay, what are you saying? The Conjuring, probably then. Because
good. Oh, good call.
Yeah,
because those are possession movies, and that's like a possession movie done right, or like haunted house movie done right. And again, like I said last week, it's my favorite modern day horror movie, because it did scare the shit out of me. Did a good job early on.
And
that scene, man. Oh God, I got chills when that happened.
They casted two of the best possible people you could do for that.
Yeah, I do, man. And like, there's a third one coming out, I think, this year at some point. So really excited.
Yeah. Now, is that based on the people that went up to Amity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw those.
Yes. Yeah. You got to check them out. They're good. And then like he created a whole universe from the Conjuring movie. Yeah, Annabelle movies and La Llorona ended up being one of them. Like no one saw that coming because it wasn't really. It was like a surprise that it was connected. Then of course The Nun, and I feel like I'm missing one, but it's one of those. But yeah, it's great.
No, I'm with you on that. I want us to talk about really quickly. I didn't have it in our notes, so if you have not seen it, not a problem. But I do want to talk the Spiral trailer, based off of the Book of Saw, with Chris Rock.
I'm sorry, the what?
It's called Spiral. It's based off of the Book of Saw, so like it's part of the
okay,
part of the
Saw legacy.
It's called the Book of Saw Spiral or something like that.
Right. So what you didn't see in the first trailer that they released, or here rather, was the voice of the person that's supposed to be the new Jigsaw. So when I heard it this time, it's gonna take a lot of getting used to not hearing the only voice I'd ever to hear for that. But it's interesting. I mean, the whole premise is you don't know who to trust. Like Chris Rock is a detective, and it seems as though maybe whoever's Jigsaw is in the
room.
So the way they shot it, and it's funny because the first trailer, I immediately said to my dad, "Oh, I think it's because his Chris Rock's dad in this movie is played by Samuel Jackson," and I was just like, "Jigsaw's probably Samuel Jackson." Like I'm thinking in terms of the first one caught me off guard with an old man. This one won't do it. Like I won't let this one do it. But then you see in this one, Samuel Jackson's in like a whole bunch of contraptions. So it looks good. So if you have not seen a trailer, the way I'll pose the question, and I'll start with you, Jaydee, is are you even remotely interested in any more like branches off of the Saw tree?
I don't mind if it's a branch. How are they going to play it? I don't know, because I liked Creed being the branch off of Rocky, right. But I didn't like the second Creed. You know, I don't mind giving spin-offs a chance.
Okay. Really quickly to play off of that, it has nothing to do with horror, but to play off of that, it was just said, and Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was just said that Sylvester Stallone won't be in this third Creed that Michael is directing. You cool with that, Jaydee?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, he had his run already. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He should have died in the last one, like Mickey. You know what I mean? He really, bow out and keep it moving.
Right. You can't pass the torch if you're still always there. It's the one thing I always loved about Batman, to where he's like, I'm gonna train you guys, so if something ever happened to me, you guys can take over. But he never went anywhere. Like, he was just like, I will be 90 and still putting on this cape. But okay, so I like that, Jaydee, to where it's like you're willing to give it a chance. This is Joel. You saw the trailer, right, Joel? This is supposed to be 6 to maybe 10 years, I want to say, after the events of all those past movies. So it's enough time away to where it makes sense that, whoever this copycat killer is had enough time to kind of get things together, whatever. So I'm like, I don't know. When they said that Chris Rock approached the studio about wanting to do this, I got really excited because I love when people are passionate about what they're doing. It doesn't come off as a paycheck. It comes off as a passion project. So if he wanted to do this, it means he knows what the old ones brought. He knows the legacy it has, and he's looking to add to it, not take from it. So I'm right there with him. It's just gonna take some getting used to with no Tobin Bell. Like that's just oof. But anyway, Pete, if you have not seen the trailer, are you interested in seeing?
I didn't know it was out. I would love to see it. I love the Saw movies, so I'm game immediately.
So wait, did you like the last one that they did?
Where the last one, if I'm not mistaken, had Carrie Elways in it, and it tied all the way back to the first movie. Yeah, I loved it.
Okay,
I'm a very easy person to please. I loved it.
You know what's crazy? I love Jigsaw, and I said this. I said once Tobin Bell's character died, that's kind of when they should have wrapped it up in a bow, and then did what Spiral's doing, which is take time to say, now there's a copycat killer. Right. But when you do it in succession to that, it's just kind of like, all right, now you're just kind of like shoving a whole bunch of stuff in there.
You're milking it.
I would even accept like if Samuel L. Jackson is the new Jigsaw or whatever. I think that would work as long as it's not Chris Rock. Because the minute I hear this dude say, "I want to play a game," like I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
like
out. Nah, that's when I gotta leave.
Picture the dog cupping its hands like that.
See, but Pete, you're saying that, and I could totally take that from him in a different context with a big fucking axe in his hand. I'm only playing a game. You know what I mean? That's fucking frightening.
All right,
bro.
fair.
You know, I want that. And were you at New York Comic Con that one year where you had a father with his kid on a fucking tricycle dressed around like the
I seen that kid.
puppet?
Yes.
I was gonna punch that motherfucker. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, you know, I was gonna.
Oh man, yeah. I always say that. I always say the scariest thing are kids because it's like you don't expect it. So it's how they can catch you off guard and like kill you. So it's like that's an easy one. When you trick or treat, don't spend hundreds of dollars to make your kid really look like Chucky, because it's the quickest way to get me to punt that kid 15 yards from my doorstep. So just don't do it. Just don't do it. But Pete, I'm glad to hear that, because I will say before Jigsaw, it was a very bad run of Saw movies that they were putting out. So when I heard about Jigsaw, I remember I said, I'm not seeing it. I hated the last one. And I remember it came when it came out on DVD, I watched it and I was just like, damn, I wish I saw this in theaters.
Which was the last one? Was that the one where the two cops were standing face to face and one of them got sucked in while the contraption on the outside crushed him around?
Yeah, that was Jigsaw. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I gotta watch that again. I haven't seen that in a long time.
I think I'm gonna watch it right before this one. Like right before this one comes out, I'm gonna watch Jigsaw.
Is that series streaming anywhere?
I honestly, that was on TV the other night.
Oh,
HBO
fantastic!
Max. It's on HBO Max, not awesome. Jigsaw, and I don't know if it has all of them, but it has at least the good ones, like the first 3 or 4.
Okay.
So those are on HBO Max. Which, by the way, Joel, HBO Max just added a Ninja Turtles movie on there, the live action one. So it just
I watched the first one.
The very first one.
Yeah, the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're all there.
Bernie Reyes Jr.
Yeah, he was actually one of the turtles in the first one, and he had a role in the second one.
Which is crazy because that shows the difference of times. Like they put Ninja Turtles on there. Joel watched that one, right? For me, I went to the animated one that came out in like 2005. Like that was the first one I went to. I was just like, oh, Ninja Turtles is here. No, not the live action. I'm gonna go to the cartoon.
Seen both shits in theaters, man.
But Joel, any interest in Spiral? Did you like the trailer?
Trailer looks good. I liked the Saw movies, but then I lost track around after the fourth one. I stopped watching them. But I recently saw the fifth one like a couple months ago because I have a friend that's really into the Saw movies, so he wants me to finish them. So I sat there and I watched the fifth one. I'll probably end up finishing the rest of them to catch up to Spiral eventually.
Yeah, well, I will say, you saw the first 4. I would
say I've seen the first 5.
If you've seen the first 5, there's only 2 more of that, and then there's Jigsaw, and then now there's.
Well, there were 7 of them.
There were 7.
Mm-hmm. See, I don't remember the movies. I remember like the deaths. Like I remember when the Spanish dude dropped the girl into the fucking hypodermic needle well. Yeah. That she ended up being the protege. Right. Tobin Bell.
That was 2, I think.
Yeah, I remember, like I said, the 2 cops where I lost the whole timeline of it. So there was the 2 cops, one was chasing the other, and they both thought that the other one was Jigsaw,
and there was
whatever.
2 actors, and I think the fourth, or whatever. There was 2 guys that looked almost exactly the same in the same movie. I'm like, I got lost. I'm like, well, you guys look exactly the same, and it's just like they're 2 different actors. I was like,
and the one that got crushed.
Yeah,
the one that was crushed in the machine was the one that got saved, but the one standing outside of the machine was the one that got killed.
Yeah,
right.
There's some shit like that.
I'm looking here, Joel. HBO Max has all of them, all 7.
Oh, look at that!
Nice.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Then there was the one where like the group they hid in the fucking tunnels as a fire blast.
That was.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the 5th one.
I will say though, the one that taught me a lesson was the 3rd one, where the guy's head was in a this box and it was filling with water, And that was the first time I learned that, like, if you can't breathe, you can, like, stab yourself here, and that creates, like, an airway.
Oh, the tracheotomy.
Yeah. Never knew that.
Good luck with that.
Well, no, I'm clearly not going to try it, but I'm watching, and I was just like, I thought he was trying to kill himself faster. And, like, I'm sitting next to my dad. He's like, no, he's trying to breathe. I'm like,
that's how he survives.
How do you do that? I'm like, how do you do it that way? And then when you see it, you're just like, oh.
While we're on the subject of Saw, one of the questions you had asked, Juwaan, was, favorite horror death scenes extended. Saw has at least one of them for me, where the guy's like standing there spread, he's like in chains or whatever, and there's the two giant ass ice cubes that swing down and just smishes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And you know what's crazy? I know I spoke about it before as kind of just like it was a little cheapish, but I will say that act scene or whatever you call it, that was the reason why that was well done. Wasn't because of that. A lot of people forget he had an option. Do you remember his option, Pete?
Remind me. I know he had the
he always
option.
had options. They all had options, right?
Right. But his option was there was a contraption that was drilling like a hole through his hand.
Yes.
And it was either lose your hands or I cut your whole body in half. And it was the idea of him going, this hand pain is crazy. And I'm like, but dog, he's cutting you in half. Like, just lose your hands. And he was just like, nope, won't do it.
Somewhere in the ether, Vincent Price watched that death scene and was like,
no,
if you've ever seen the original Pit and the Pendulum, good movie.
I will say Saw, to me, the one thing, even all 7, that I'll give it credit for was it was very creative in the way it would kill people. Like 7, I think it was Saw 7, where it was the 2 guys that was dating the same girl. Mm-hmm. And it was like them kind of like, no, I want her. And then I love it. Like, just like, you know what? Fuck her. Like I loved it. And like that's the one thing I always give the directors for each 7 of these. Inventive. None of the deaths were the same. Mm-hmm. So
that became why you watched the movie after a while, like Final Destination. You didn't care about the people. I want to see some crazy ass, really intricate death scenes.
By the way, all right, let's get into this next topic of extending the best kills in horror movies. I'm gonna give that to Final Fantasy, the first one, because it changed life for everybody.
Final Fantasy?
There's not one person on this planet that drives behind a truck that has poles, trees.
Final Destination.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
That was 2. And you're 100% right. That was 2.
Oh,
and I will switch lanes. Absolutely.
And drive behind it. And what's crazy is I know people that have never seen the movie that know that scene and still switch lanes. They're like, no, don't play around with that.
Okay, I got to tell you, there's a double-edged sword to that. All right, I've driven cross country to a lot of conventions, and I've driven to Tennessee through the Shenandoah Mountains, the Appalachians up there, and you're talking about 2-lane curvy highways that allow trucks like that. And it's like either go behind it or try to make a pass when he's turning and maybe get fucking thrown off the side of the goddamn road. Which one are you gonna fucking do?
Yeah. And I mean, that's another movie that like some of the deaths became like, all right, that's
campy.
Like like the when she died in the tanning bed, it was just like, all right. But some like the early ones, it's why I don't do roller coasters. It's Final Destination.
I just don't like roller coasters.
It's why I don't cut grass. Final Destination. like
that New York subway death was the shittiest.
I will agree with that. No, wait. You know what death really shook me to my core? The one where the dude fell down and the ladder from the building came shooting down through like his eyes.
Yeah.
That one was just like, because you're watching it. Like that has to be terrifying to watch it come.
Or the glass, the glass pane window, whatever.
Squished them. That was a good one.
That shit was nasty.
The NASCAR one was probably the campiest and the funniest death scene I've ever seen in anything. because it was just like the ridiculous way. All right, so I think that was
in the first two.
One. I think that was the third or the fourth one, JD, and it was
just, not the first two. I remember the first.
No, yeah, that was later on. I think that was number 4. On.
So they were at like this NASCAR event, and like picture any way for the entire arena to die is how they died. Like one dude, a tire popped off, smashed his whole body. Like it was just really ridiculous. Like everyone there died.
But not for nothing. I be following a lot of like crazy ass people getting hurt pages on Instagram and shit. There's a lot of friggin' times tires spin off of cars, trucks, or whatever, and just clobber people.
Really?
Yeah, like there's one dude just sitting at like an outdoor restaurant. Boom! Tire just rolls past, blasts him. One guy gets cracked in the damn head with a tire, flew off an expressway, and I was like, "Yeah, you probably live, but that can't."
Galvanized rubber hits like a fucking hammer, man. A lot of them are steel belted inside.
Yeah, that movie. So I'm adding that. Part of me just wants to add all of Final Destination to my extended.
There are certain movies with just all creative death scenes, and if you've never seen The Cube or any of its ilk, please do.
Yeah.
Cube Zero is the best. Hypercube kind of sucks, but they're all really, really cool.
What kind of reminded me of The Cube? There's a Netflix horror flick that it's from Spain. I think it's The Hole, The Well, or whatever, where the prison, it's just two people on a circular fucking level, and there's an open pit in the middle, and the food is sent on a tray.
Oh my God. No, I know what you're talking about. Yes, that is the platform. It's called The Platform.
The Platform,
yes.
Dude.
And I made
it kind of felt like it was The Cube, dude. It was
I made the mistake, JD, of instead of just listening to it in its natural language and just putting subtitles on, I listened to it in English. And oh my God, did it make that movie so unbearable to listen to?
It did.
Because
you could do it in straight Spanish,
you could
bro.
you could see the guy going fish, and then like the English audio would go pork, and it's like, dude, I see that he said fish. How did you translate that? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But the concept of that movie, JD, was so freaking. I loved that movie. Yeah.
So just imagine. All right, so if they're going down 40 floors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the food for the prisoners, well, that top floor down, they get the best food. What do the people at the bottom get? And what happens if you fall through, if you're still hanging on, and you make it to the next fucking level down, and you're not supposed to, and all the things in between.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just loved it because it's, to piggyback off you, JD, it's just the idea of like, picture not eating. And then picture seeing someone like take a chicken bone, they're like slobbering all over. When that shit comes down to you, you don't have the luxury of saying like, ill, like he just put his, you gotta eat it. And
man.
And Pete, it goes like this. So like if you don't hurry up and eat something, it's moving down. It's continuously moving down. So it's the idea of like, when you see it, doesn't matter if it's half, you know, if it just drops or something or whatever. It was a really genius concept, and I really did enjoy it. I just suggest to anyone watching this, listening, do not.
Kind of fucked up, but
in English. Yeah, it very fucked up. Yeah, there's a lot of scenes in there. It's just like, oof, that was tough. But all right, so Joel, I'm gonna go to you. Extending this, were there any more? Either, you know, let's open it up a little bit. Inventive, insane, or just any other kills in a horror movie that stick out to you.
Probably. I haven't really put much thought into it.
I mean, you could even do, if there were anything crazy in The Conjuring, any kills in that were insane.
Those aren't really like killer type of thing. They're like, those are there just meant to really fuck with you. You know, it's not gory very much. Trying to think. Damn, I really don't know off the top of my head. Like, I don't pay attention like to that. I don't really have a favorite kill. I just know like certain kill. Like we were talking about Final Destination and the plane glass window splitting that dude in half. it's like one of those things that you just don't forget. That's one of those things that I don't forget. Like yeah, I don't know. I can't think of any at the moment.
I'm trying to think. You know what's crazy? The one horror movie that I love that I can't remember any kills from is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't remember any kills.
The original? They weren't as vicious as like later on.
No,
yeah,
not the ones with like Trey Songz and all the other stupid stuff.
Trey Songz.
I don't remember any. Like any at
Watch the one with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. It's a little funky.
Right. That's the only one. The only horror movie that I can think of that I just don't like. I even remember kills from Phantasm, and I can't remember anything from Texas.
The Hills Have Eyes.
Wow.
Shit too.
Oh, The Hills Have Eyes. Both of them.
Yeah.
Are tough to watch.
Yeah, there's some like violent shit. I'm like, oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I gotta give you some credit, Juwaan. Like you're like, barely able to drink legally, but you saw Phantasm. Good on you, bro.
But wait, when you guys hear my dad, like I think Joel's met my dad. My dad has like that deep voice. So like when he used to fuck with me, come here, boy, and it's like, like no. So yeah, my aunt actually loves that movie. It's literally the only horror movie she'll ever watch.
That's the one where with Ben Affleck was the retired FBI agent who was a sheriff.
No, you're thinking of Phantoms.
Yeah, that's Phantom.
Phantasm is the one with the chrome ball with the blade that comes out.
Yeah.
The mortuary.
Yeah. And the tall man, the dude like he's got like the long stringy hair.
Yep.
Bravo, Juwaan, bravo. I'll give you that.
Again,
you're earning your brownie points when we back, bro.
Yeah, that's definitely points,
Ryan,
man.
So each week I'm gonna come in here with something that's slowly.
I like that, kid.
So yeah, but that's crazy. I can't. Also, a movie, just the first one, not the 8 million they made after that. Wrong Turn. I enjoyed Wrong Turn also.
Okay,
Turn's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Wrong Turn.
Yeah, that was a fucked up one.
Yes, it was. Now again, the other ones that came after, mentally throw those in the garbage. But that first one, very well done. Jaydee, give us some killing scenes.
Okay. I don't know. This is a think piece. It's definitely a horror, but it's something that also deals with the guilt of having done something in your past and how it weighs on you and how that will be the death of you. Turned into the remake of a Japanese horror film called Shudder.
Yep.
Good flick.
Okay. And the shit that was breaking his back was the girl that he raped years ago, and he took pictures of, and then that was her ghost. And seeing that was just like, ooh, that is a think piece, and it's hard, And I hadn't thought about it till a few moments ago when Pete brought up The Grudge and The Ring, and it's around that Japanese remake era of those type of flicks, so it fits right in there. But I want to go a little further back, something called In the Mouth of Madness. Well, yeah, you guys, Pete, thank you, Pete.
Dude, I'm a Lovecraft fan. Like that movie turned me on to H.P. Lovecraft, basically.
That was an H.P. Lovecraft kind of Stephen King combo.
Yeah.
Because it took place in the American Northeast. The weirdest use of a highway drive scene in any movie ever. Jorgen Punchow. I don't care. The guy is just a natural villain, and again, with Lovecraft and King being authors and that being the main character's, profession, and how that tied into what he was opening up the gates of hell with the shit that he was writing. In the Mouth of Madness had some really creepy, fucking weird fucking deaths in that,
That's a scary ass movie, man. It really holds up.
Yeah, the psychological ones are the ones that fucking just dig into you, man.
Those are the ones I love the most because, like I said, it's like Joel loving The Conjuring. I couldn't watch that at night, right? Scare the shit out of me. But you put Nightmare on Elm Street, anything like the slashers, I'm fine with. You know what I'm saying? Like I could easily stomach that. Not a problem. Ripping someone's whole heart out. I'd sleep like a baby. But the whole ghost concept or demons, nope, can't.
Telling you right now, Mouth of Madness is not a movie to watch in the dark. Neither is Event Horizon, for that matter.
Yeah, they came out around the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it was the same year, and they both had Sam Neill in it.
Really?
That's right. Sam Neill was the main guy in both of them. Yes.
The thing is, with Mouth of Madness, it's very difficult to talk about without really spoiling that movie, because the twist of it is like, oh shit. Like you can't really.
It's in the title. It's in the fucking title.
Wow. Okay. You guys hate when I do this, but I just pulled it up so I could put it in my notes as something to watch. This shit came out a year after I was born.
You lost a fucking good point. You earned it.
Yeah.
You don't know what to.
No,
you don't know what to
no, I saw Phantasm. Boom, right back down.
No, you know what it is, Jaydee? I was wondering why I'd never heard of it. Wow, this made a lot of money. Holy shit. Oh, no.
Did it?
No, it didn't. No. Its budget was 14 and only brought in 8. But anyway, I was wondering why.
But you know what? It was
That's a cult classic, though.
Yeah.
John Carpenter is up there in the Mount Rushmore of American horror guys. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious why I've never heard of it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm gonna ask my dad about it, see if he's seen it.
That shit just has like a couple of lines that really they stay with you. And even to this day, like my friends and I will be getting drunk or something like that, and we'll just turn around and be like, he sees you. He sees you. Somebody will just like fucking stop that shit.
You're giving me goosebumps by saying that.
Do you read Sutter Kane?
All right.
That's so good.
Because I do want us to end on that that concept you had, Pete. So one of our last 2 topics is, I thought this would be fun. Horror movie theme songs. Because when you think about it, you go, there's only like 3 really good ones.
Yes,
true.
But I mean, I'll let the 3 of you go, because I'm pretty sure the 3 of you will probably say the 3 ones.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with you, Jaydee. What makes it his number 1 there?
Come on. I mean, there's no music. It's fucking, it's vocals in that.
Right.
There's nothing more iconic than that. The 2 competitors, yes, but I think that is the top one out of them.
It's funny. All right, so we know the big 3, right? So we know the Halloween, we know Jason, we know Freddy. Here's the funny thing about.
Does Freddy have a theme song? Like I can't hear
it's
Freddy in my head.
1, 2,
Freddy.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, the rhyme.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, now, I'm sorry, I'm Juwaan, not to cut you off.
Go
when
ahead.
they did that in Lovecraft Country, their version of that.
Way cooler. Yeah. But what I always thought was hilarious, Jaydee, is you think Freddy Krueger song. The people running hear that because someone's singing it to them. With Jason, the people running hear that, right? What always struck my interest was, do they hear the Halloween theme when they're running? Like when we hear it, do the people running hear it? Because I always say, if I did, I told you guys last week, I'd stop and start dancing. Like that shit hits. Like I'd be like, how do you expect me to run from this? Like this.
Well, see, that's because that. Of course they hear it, because that's what Michael Myers says. I'm sorry. It's the writer in me trying to fill in the void.
Joel, which theme song you putting up there? We already got Jason on the board.
So Jason.
No, Michael Myers.
Michael Myers. We got Halloween. We got Friday the 13th, and you said Nightmare on Elm Street, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Saw would probably be really good. Saw theme is pretty iconic.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Oh my God, I hate you because I was gonna say that, Joe.
That's really good. It's one of my favorite. That sounded
like James Bond to me.
You don't know the song?
To be fair, Jaydee, my rendition right then was horrible. But
he's not.
Theme of Saw. Like I'll tell you right now. And what's crazy is at the end of the first movie, where he's closing the door.
Yeah.
On the guy. The song is what really brings that home. It's not, oh my God, it's the song because it starts off low as he's talking, kind of telling you like why it was him. The song is low. but when he gets up to close the door, it heightens like really heavy, and it's like
I love it.
You start to feel it. Yeah, I'm with you, Joel.
It's one of the best horror themes.
Because I tell you what, when
Exorcist is good too.
When you hear that, the next thing in your brain goes, "I'm gonna look over. There'll be a fucking doll on a bike." Like that's what that means. So yeah, I'm with you, Joel. That is. I'm with you.
You Joel brought up the Exorcist. I'm sorry, my side note story. I lived about 10 minutes from there when I was in Virginia. That was
really.
Yeah.
God, I remember
that was in DC.
Someone once told me the Amityville house was in Virginia. It's not.
It's in Long Island. It's in Amityville, Long Island.
Right. They told me it was in Virginia, and I remember I didn't sleep for like a month watching that movie. The Ryan Reynolds version, by the way, which I really, really, really enjoyed. Ryan Reynolds did a good job.
It's a good flick. Yeah.
I like
surprisingly good.
And it starts off just just the dad just like, I'm gonna murder everybody.
It was like taking a whatever, and the thing was in his face, but you can't see it. Fuck that, bro.
That guy just died. Matter of fact, that guy just died in prison. The original dude who shotgunned his whole family just died like 2 weeks ago. Tops.
Oh my God! I'm telling you right now, the first thing I'm saying to my lawyer is, I do not want that cell. I do not want that cell. Like, I'll serve my time, but don't put me in that cell. Hell,
that's enough.
You can do it.
What's it called? Psycho.
Psycho. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I didn't think it's. Why did I think it's Psycho?
That's very iconic.
Yeah.
That's right.
Dun 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 dun.
Wait, what was Scream's theme song?
Did it have one?
That is iconic.
Yeah.
Whatever grunge band was popular at the time.
That was the point, right?
That's probably so true, Jaydee. All right, so since Joel stole mine of Saw, I'm obviously gonna go Halloween. I'm gonna go Halloween.
That's a really
Pete. So you ended
I still got one. I still got one. Okay. I mean, my favorite is of course Jason, because Jason's my favorite guy. But as far as iconic theme songs for horror movies, and I'll go a little out there, but Jaws.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
okay. I'm gonna say this. I've seen Jaws, so let me not scare you guys there. I have seen Jaws. I think that movie is drastically overrated.
Fair. But you have to put yourself back in the mind frame of like 1979, 78.
And that's why I said sometimes the most dangerous thing is watching movies out of time.
Fair. That is a fair assessment.
To me, Jaws is building something, right? But to me, when you see movies, and I'm not talking about literally today, but early 2000s, it gets right to it. Like Deep Blue Sea, a shark killed within the first 5 seconds of the opening. But with Jaws, it's building a story. So I get it.
We've all seen the shark by now. But back then, nobody had a friggin' clue what this thing looked like.
Let me ask you this, John. Mm-hmm. Is it overrated as a horror flick? Or is it overrated as a flick?
Well, I'll say not as a horror flick, because again, seeing it out of time, you don't see it the same. So it's not scary to me whatsoever. So I'll never say it's overrated as a horror flick if people think it's horror. I think it's overrated because some people have that in like their Mount Rushmore of movies. And I'm like, I don't get how it...
I wouldn't put it there.
I don't get how it's even in someone's top 10.
I would definitely put the theme song in there, though.
Oh, that's completely fair. I'm with you on that. Because that made people not want to go on water. Could you picture going swimming in an ocean and someone hits play?
Right.
You hear that?
You got to drown them. That's the only fair set that you got.
Yeah. On that. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
You just like, bro. How do I delete your picture from the screen?
Again. I'm just speaking from a sense of someone who obviously saw it out of time.
Okay.
And
all right. So forget about out of time. Forget about out of time for a second.
Mm-hmm.
The scene where Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss are talking about when he was in the Navy, and the ship went down, and in 3 days, more than 75% of his crew was eaten by the sharks in the water, right? Which is a real event. That performance between the three men is one of the best acting performances in all of cinema. I think the top 25 performances. Robert Shaw's delivery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Richard Dreyfuss's reinforcement of the delivery, and then the stone cold reaction of Roy Scheider. Like, I can't fucking believe I'm hearing this. I'm with these psychos. I respect this guy a little bit, but he's a fucking nut job. That culmination in that moment made that fucking movie.
Well, let me say this, Jaydee, because I love that you said that. Let me say this. Joel, you've heard me say this a million times. I consider Jaws the same way I consider the Dark Knight trilogy, right? Great movies. Phenomenal. Do I think they're great Batman movies? No. Do I think this was the greatest shark movie? No. But do I think it's a good movie? Yeah, of course. I don't think it's a bad movie. But again, having seen shark movies that I get to see the shark eat someone's body within like the 5 minutes, that's what I equate good shark movies to.
No way, dude. Because the whole thing comes from the tension of not showing you the shark. Is he there? Is he not there? The motherfucker's strong enough to pull 5 fucking big fucking barrels, right? And if anybody's got family in the Caribbean,
but everything,
you know how much shit could be sent in those fucking barrels overseas, man. And for him to pull it under the fucking water and then drag it, open water is terrifying to a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
Okay?
And that's a sick flick, too.
But what you're saying is the allure of it. And I'm saying I can't argue that because everything you're saying is special to seeing it in the theaters for the first time. But with all this time having been passed, it's not like when you watch it like on TV or on DVD, it's not scary as it probably was when you first saw it.
See, but dude, Steven Spielberg is giving you enough room to create the drama and the horrors in your own head. He's giving you the pieces of the puzzle. You're putting together the puzzle as you watch it.
Yeah.
And that's where you're like, that's pure Alfred Hitchcock.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple, dude. To be able to create that, forget about the budget. All right, yes, the budget, certain things that are working, the salt and water ruined a lot of fucking of the mechanics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So he took pages out of fucking Alfred Hitchcock, and then, dude, he was a young upstart, right? To say, yeah, I could sell this fucking flick and to pull it off, after you fucked up your entire presentation of what you wanted to do, that is, dude, that's the performance right there. I can appreciate Jaws on so many different levels.
I get you. Suspense is that's my go-to. I love suspense. I just don't need suspense in like a monster kind of feel. Like to me, it's like I could only imagine how annoyed I would have been seeing Anaconda if we didn't see Anaconda to like the last 10-15 minutes of that movie. Like it was a slow build-up of like, oh, there's something out. Like to me, like I'm glad it had all the this snake is eating people in 5 seconds. Like because to me, it's like that's supposed to be what's scary about it is seeing what the shark can do, not the idea of the fact that it is a shark. But again, I'm not saying Jaws is a bad movie. I'm just saying for a shark movie, I don't think a shark movie has ever been done like that outside of Jaws. I think in most other shark movies, you see the shark immediately.
Right. But how many times does the CG or the effects, forget about the CG for a second, the effects hold up? Deep Blue Sea, I like Deep Blue Sea. Those sharks don't hold up. They don't look good.
I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree. And I will say, I got to do I think they recently closed it, the Jaws ride at Universal Studios. That shit was
closed it?
Yeah, I think they did.
Oh, yeah.
That shit was amazing.
About the end of an era.
But Joel, really quickly, you were saying there was another shark movie that was building suspense like that. I thought you were saying.
I was saying that no, it's one of a kind in that regard. There aren't many other shark movies. So they get like, look, recently we had The Meg, where it's a giant fucking shark.
No, that was a comedy movie.
It
was a joke, but that's what I mean. Like that's where we're at now.
Yeah,
he prefers that.
No, no. I didn't say I prefer that movie. I just prefer to immediately see my shark get big.
Look, shark. You gotta remember, by the time he gets to all that part that you're talking about, Jaydee, Juwaan's asleep by then. So he never gets to that part of that movie.
100%. Once I don't see my shark in like the first 30 minutes, I'm out. But all right. So some really good theme songs. We got Jaws, we got Saw, we got Jason, we got Michael Myers. We covered the theme song basis. Now Pete, to end us out on the night, give us this concept that you created, man.
Before I do that, because I'm gonna go upstairs. I'm gonna really quickly get that graphic so you can. I'll send it to you and you can show it off.
Okay,
but
perfect.
Basically, like I literally just built a Mortal Kombat 1 style fighting, like you choose your character kind of thing, and I put a whole bunch of different characters in there.
Nice.
And like it was just fun for me. It was stemmed off of a discussion that we had in the basement show one time, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this. Like, let's just roll with this.
That's
and
awesome.
I was actually amidst this show, I was trying to network up to the computer upstairs, but it's obviously asleep, which is why I can't get onto it. So that's why I'm gonna just run upstairs real quick. But before I do that, I brought over a couple of horror comics that I kind of want to show off.
Oh, absolutely.
Real quick. And
absolutely.
First and foremost, this is the one. This isn't like a rebuy or anything. This is the very first comic book I ever owned that my grandmother bought me. This is Vault of Horror #2. This is a 90s reprint of another Vault of Horror, and this dude's like just being eaten by this blob type of thing.
Nice.
So that I still have it to this day, and I will never ever get rid of it.
It was a reprint, so that was EC or no?
EC, and yes, I did go out and buy the original once I found it. I had to do it. Pick this one up because I love New York covers, and you know there's just
that's dope.
Nice.
How many of us feel that way on the damn train?
Nice.
This is the very first issue of Tales from the Crypt. Really proud of that one. Managed to get that one about 20 years ago, so that's gonna get held on to. And I find a lot of like indie creators do really awesome horror stuff. I don't get into a lot of the bigger companies because I don't feel like they can do it. But one of them from a buddy of mine by the name of David Kahn, I'm sorry. He does Lovecraft PI, and I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. His first one was A Shot in the Dark, which is basically it touts Lovecraft as a gumshoe private detective. The second one was A Curious Case of Reanimator, and he just teamed up and did one Miskatonic High Kids, which is another title, and he teams up and they fight Shub Nagorath, which is just another Lovecraft style monster.
Shub Nagorath?
Those were just like a bunch of dope books, and they're fun, you know. Like, and David has a way of writing Lovecraft in that very 1940s kind of Maltese Falcon style of like speaking. So that's really a lot of fun. Another one that I did from a buddy of mine by the name of Brent Lengel. He does Snow White Zombie Apocalypse, and this is much more horror comedy. This book does not take itself seriously for a minute. It's fantastic, and it is bloody as all hell. One of the best scenes that I found was the big bad wolf eats the grandma, and the grandma, once the big bad wolf is dead, grandma just busts out of the stomach and just starts zombieing around. Like,
oh, wow.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Absolutely insane book. And yours truly makes an appearance in issue 3 of that. So if you can get a hold of it, please do. And bar none, I saved the best for last, of course, because what did I just say? I love my New York books. I love my horror books, and I love my zombies. New York versus the World from our very own Jaydee over here. Just came out with issue 2, and bar none, one of the best covers ever. Look at that shit.
Look at that.
That fucking Statue of Liberty, man. That shit is dope.
Look at that. Look at that. Wait, hold those up again, Pete.
Absolutely.
Up again.
Pete, I fucking love you, kid.
I try, my man. I try. I only speak the truth.
You got the Zombie of Liberty there, right? And in the other one, that's your hand. That's the last thing you see, right? As you're trying to get through New York. So that's what the honor was in the other cover there. Oh man, Pete, making me cry.
New York is the last stronghold for just the zombie apocalypse. And basically, just like in real life, we dump all our garbage in Staten Island.
Yeah.
No, Jaydee, you're definitely gonna send the link so we can put that in the section of the description.
You guys talk amongst yourself for a second. I'll be right back. Give me 2 minutes.
That is so freaking dope, Jaydee.
That is awesome. Thank you, Pete.
Tell us a little bit about it while Pete goes and
so I love zombies, right? Growing up, zombies were always, the B movie flicks.
Right.
And you got The Walking Dead coming out, and everything was about, if zombies happen here in the city, we're dead. And they gave us a shot with World War Z in Jersey, how he handled it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And being in New York, I had this chip on my shoulders, like, who the fuck, of course we're gonna survive a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Right. So the first thing they do is they flood the tunnels and they blow the bridges. Nothing is coming into Manhattan.
Right.
Takes them 15 years to start to clean out the city. Once they do, they begin to let people in. And that's where the story begins. But like every good zombie story, what's going on is really just an allegory for what's going on in society. Right? The very first one dealt with racism. The second one, the second George Romero one, dealt with consumerism. That's where they were stuck in the mall. My zombie story deals with xenophobia. And that's one of the things that we got going on today. They hate illegal aliens. They hate immigrants, stuff like that. So New York versus the world treats the true problem, not the zombies, and how we handle immigration. At this point, everyone is a refugee, and all they're looking for is to protect their family. And we treat the different boroughs differently. So Pete gave away one of the hooks. Staten Island is where they take all the dead bodies. So within the mythology of New York versus the world, what we knew as a job title before the apocalypse, it's totally different now. So a doorman is not the guy who opens up the doors for you into the building anymore. So a doorman is someone who he has to watch over his respective building, right? And he checks every unit in that building to make sure nobody's turned, because that doorman's job is to blow the building to make sure that the virus doesn't escape into the rest of the city. A fireman is not somebody who puts out fires anymore. A fireman is somebody who, if there's a boat of infected that is on the way over, our fireman is the one that takes out that boat, stuff like that. The garbage trials that you would see, going through the East River and stuff like that. Well, those are the people now pick up the dead bodies that are floating before they hit the shores of New York to make sure nothing washes up and steps up and brings the infection rate back again.
I like that. So
thank you.
Jaydee, where can we find this?
Unstoppablecomics.com. You can pick up the issues in print and digital, and they're free shipping.
Nice.
There's something I love. It's free shipping.
Oh, this is
Juwaan, I just sent it to you so you can share your own. You can share your screen, or if you want, I can figure out how to share mine. I'm not.
Oh wait, yeah, I can send it
that is fucking awesome, Pete.
Hold
on.
Oh man,
you can share it.
Awesome. All right.
I need a move set now. No, move set.
You gotta give us mood sets.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So
you
guys can see this. And
beautiful.
The joke is I had to throw my damn self in the middle there.
I love it. Are you the secret? Are you the toasty guy?
I'm the secret character. Yes, 100%.
I tell you what, I feel as though the best move set comes from Pete. That's the best move set.
But I think I tried to find as many horror icons as I possibly could think of. So we had obviously Jason and Michael Myers was the only guys who never fought. So I was like, let's just throw these guys up there. Yeah. And you got Michael Myers, Hannibal Lecter, Candyman, Freddy Krueger, Jason, of course. I had to throw Kiefer Sutherland in from
Lost
Boys.
Lost Boys. Pinhead.
Samara from The Ring. Leatherface. The Tar Man from Return of the Living Dead. Pinhead. I took a cue from Mortal Kombat and I went with Aliens and Predator on the bookends there.
Nice.
Critters, one of the classicest comedy horrors. Pumpkinhead, an unsung monster of the 80s era, Chucky, and good old Norman.
I love how you don't have the Leprechaun in this. That is so disrespectful.
Oh shit, man! I forgot Leprechaun.
Well, no, you know what? I want to play this game, but is everybody's moveset the same? Is it just stabby? Because everybody's got a knife.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You know
the
what?
way you said that,
it's
Jaydee,
Midway.
all
Who
I
knows?
imagine is them stabbing like this. Like, stabby.
I love it. I want to play that yesterday, man.
Right? Like Midway needs to do this shit. Like, yo, if anybody's out there is watching, Midway, step your game up.
Right?
Can I help you design the sequel, please?
Yes.
And I will
100%.
say, Joel, your concept was one DC character, right?
Well, it came because look, it came for the same reason because you saw Mortal Kombat started using a lot of different third-party characters and iconic slasher characters or like known like action heroes or shit like that. So yeah, my question was DC because obviously there's a connection. Mortal Kombat has a connection to Warner Brothers, has a connection to DC. So there's always like a DC character like that guest stars, and vice versa. Like the Injustice games will have like Mortal Kombat characters and shit. But so yeah, one DC character, and that has to be like a killer from the DC side, someone that will kill you. You know,
Okay.
there was a monster like a predator, alien, one of those. An action hero, or I mean, like a slasher, not just like a monster. It could be like any type of slasher. It could be a monster or slasher, whatever. And then, of course, an action hero. So those three categories.
4, right? That's 3 or 4.
Technically 4, but I kind of condensed it to 3.
So 2 from each category?
You can pick. I usually do 2. Like, yeah, give me 2 DC, 2 action heroes, and 2 monster slashers, like horror characters.
The one me and Joel were like, it's a definite from the DC side was Lobo. Like Lobo was good.
Lobo.
Good one.
That's true. There's a couple good ones.
First guy that came to my mind was one of my favorite, really just doesn't get a lot of play type of villains was Solomon Grundy.
Yeah. He was in the first Injustice game.
That's right, he was.
You know what? I would love for. I mean, we obviously saw it in Stargirl, but I would love for someone like J.J. Abrams is taking on Justice League Dark, right? The character to make up Justice League Dark.
Yes.
I would love for someone to do a really creepy, eerie version of Grundy. Like, give me really scary.
The one that rhymes too.
Yes, and
born on a Monday.
Yeah.
I would love that. And Pete, I believe you said this a while ago. He doesn't get enough respect, and I can't even remember his name now. I'm thinking about it. But the opposite of Superman.
Bizarro,
yes.
Yeah.
Juwaan, you don't remember that?
It's hard not to do. It's hard not to confuse both of them, though. You know what I mean? People.
It's true.
They wrapped it up, and I think Solomon Grundy had a great redemption arc in Justice League Unlimited with the Hawk Girl. You know, and then when he sacrificed that and then reset it, you know, and all that redemption was lost for him to just be the base Solomon Grundy again. I was just like, oh man, that hurt.
Which, by the way, Jaydee, that show was like a blueprint to what we've always wanted to see in live action.
100%, yes.
It's why I hold Earth's Mightiest Heroes so tight, because a lot of what they did on that series, Feige is building. Like, think about it. Skrulls was huge at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Loki was big in season 1. We had that. Like, he legit, in that show, they legit are following some of the ideas of the blueprint of that will lead us to the X.
That was a great series.
For all coming
it's
together.
The best Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that came afterwards, I didn't like it that much.
No, I watched it, but it's not that great.
It's nowhere near Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but I did enjoy it.
No, that was a great series, dude.
So,
but Justice League Unlimited, forget about the blueprint for what we want in the DCEU.
Mm-hmm.
Justice League Unlimited is the blueprint for any superhero franchise and how it should be played out.
There.
I mean, dude, they even did the Suicide Squad or their Task Force X episode was one of my favorites. You know, they nailed Captain Boomerang. You know, when he set off the alarm for the change in his pocket, and like 52 cents is 52 cents, but they used 52, which is the number for DC. Right. You know, and it just
I mean, I'll even say, JD, I'll even say that the biggest thing I loved about them that the CW somewhat incorporated was there were characters in there that were deep cuts as far as the heroes, like characters that mainstream has no idea they even existed, and they went deep into a lot of those characters. I mean, perfect example, they showed Doom Patrol. We got Doom Patrol from that. So it's like they just did a lot of really cool things.
I'll give you one more. Out of anything Batman, even Batman the Animated Series for which it spun off of, even Batman Beyond, which they completed, they gave us the season finale. That season finale for Batman Beyond had the best Batman story ever, where he sat down with the little girl Ace as she passed away, so she would not blow up and destroy the city.
Yep.
The way that plays out, and how it was Amanda Waller telling that Batman story, and how she hated him for all of these years, but she grew to have that professional working relationship. For me, that's top 3 Batman story in any medium whatsoever.
Wait a minute, refresh my memory. Did he just sit with her until? I thought he had to kill her. That was the point.
No, he sat
with
her.
He?
Gonna die.
That's what I thought. I always thought he had to kill her, like to protect everyone else, because she was gonna fucking kill everyone.
Right.
Did he? We don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
But he came back with like that tear in his eye. I'm assuming he did. I remember that episode. That was a heavy ass episode.
That was a great fucking Batman.
I love that you brought that up, because that's something that we don't really get to see. Well, we don't get Batman long enough in one medium to see, but there's layers to Batman. It's not the grunting, I'm always angry kind of guy.
Right.
And it's what I did love about what they did with the animation for the New 52, the Son of Batman, the Batman vs. Robin. I love when they ended it in Apocalypse, which Joel, I did go back and see. It speaks a lot to when Damian goes, he's gone over to the other side, and how it really, how he was saying how it broke his heart to see his dad like that. But it's the evolution of that story, because when you first see Damian, he's kind of just like, I don't need a dad. Like,
right.
I don't need that. Right. to see it unfold. And then even, and this is a little bit of spoilers, but Joel, even the scene where Superman goes, Batman almost turned back with what happened to Dick, but it couldn't fully turn him. And it's just like that, but that's the stubbornness of Batman, to where it's just like,
I lost track of those, man.
Those were great.
Well, I tell you right now,
animated series is so good.
If you have HBO Max, it has all of them there. All of the animated movies from the New 52. All of them.
I'll tell you this much.
It's a fun rabbit hole to
I hated Damian Wayne from like Jump Street. Couldn't stand him because I don't really like Grant Morrison as a writer.
I'm not a fan of Grant.
Let me reiterate. I don't like Grant Morrison when he's doing mainstream characters. When he's doing his own shit, he's great. He's phenomenal. When he's touching mainstream characters, he just finds obscure ass shit to reference and bring mainstream again, and it's undamn necessary. I hated Damian Wayne. It was those cartoons that made me like him.
Right. Because to me, the biggest compliment I'll give Ernie Altbacker and James Tucker and those guys is he was so drastically different from Dick Grayson. It's what made you kind of pay attention to him, because it's like, it's this guy it's this kid with no code that could literally murder anyone he wanted, right? And it was the idea of Batman trying to get him to understand that's not how people live. They don't just murder people when they have a problem. And to see the evolution into Batman v. Robin, where Robin's kind of like, nah, I like this guy Talon. He lets me kill people. And it's like, well, whose son are you? You know what I'm saying? I love that.
That's why I like those issues where it was Dick as when Bruce had disappeared in the time stream, and it was Dick training Damian, and Damian was like, oh, we got to kill these guys so they don't come back again. And Dick's like, no, that's not how we do things.
Well, you get a little bit of that, JD, if you saw Batman Bad Blood. You get a little bit of that.
Okay. See, I saw the last one I saw was the one where it was Deathstroke coming to Nanda Parbat and taking out all of the assassins with Damien.
Yeah, that was Batman.
That was the first one.
Yeah, that's the very first one. Yeah.
And then I saw the Teen Titans one where it was the Damien Teen Titans versus Justice League. Was that?
Yeah.
I think you missed one in there.
You missed a few in there.
I was gonna say
those are the only two I saw.
Yeah, between Son of Batman and the Justice League versus Teen Titans, there's a lot in there.
Oh well, it was Justice League War, right?
And then it was Justice League Throne of Atlantis.
Starts with Flash.
I didn't see Throne of Atlantis.
Yeah,
Atlantis was the second one. That was Justice League War, and then it was Throne of Atlantis. Justice League Throne of Atlantis.
Really quickly, Joel, you know what I never saw, and I've seen War maybe a million times. Never knew that War ended with Orm. Orm kind of like establishing war on the above land. Never saw that a day in my life. Just recently saw it, and I was just like,
War was the first one that had Cyborg as part of the JL, right?
War.
Yeah, it doesn't include Martian Manhunter. It uses Shazam instead of Aquaman.
Yep.
And Aquaman is set up in the sequel.
Yep.
So, and who was the actor that did that voice? Because I liked him. I forgot his name. Of Batman, I'm sorry.
Jason O'Mara.
I love Jason O'Mara, yes. But don't sleep on Bruce Greenwood, who did, Batman and the Young Justice ones, dude.
Yeah.
And he did a few Justice League movies too, didn't he?
He did. I think he did.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think you'll see it if you ever go down the rabbit hole of watching those, Jaydee, in the Justice League Dark movie, where they introduced the Justice League Dark. Jason O'Mara has mastered the Batman grunt. There's moments in there where instead of giving a verbal response, he just grunts, and it hits so fucking well. Like, I'm like, oh my God, he just does that too fucking well. I was just watching it today, and I was just like, I do want to see Batman grunt a little bit.
I have a question since we're on the subject at the moment. What do y'all think of Supernatural's Jensen Ackles getting cast in The Long Halloween as Batman?
I'm going to tell you this.
I like it.
The thing I told Joel was I needed to hear him. I just saw the trailer today, and it does not sound like him.
No.
And I think that's what I love. But to be fair, huge congrats to Warner Brothers holding on to Wes Gleason over there. Wes Gleason will make you sound like nothing you've ever sounded like before.
Oh, okay. Voice coach?
Yes. Wes Gleason is legit. Every interview me and Joel have ever done with the cast of these New 52 movies, they always say how well Wes Gleason gets them prepared for these things.
Okay.
And when you listen to him from watching that Long Halloween trailer, like if you close your eyes, it feels like Batman. And that was the thing that I needed from him if I was going to say that, I was excited for it. And when I close my eyes and just listen to the trailer, it feels like Batman. And that's something I have to give him a lot of props to, because that's not easy to do. That gruff that you need to sound like Batman, that's not something everybody has in them.
Right. I think it's a perfect honor of elevation from Jason Todd graduating in
100%
skewed way. You know what
I
mean?
Sounds more like himself as Jason Todd than he does as Batman. I like that there's a difference.
Yeah. And that's the freedom I'm glad he has, because with Jason Todd, there's been nothing before that. So it's like you could make Jason Todd sound like whatever you want. But to know that he's stepping into that Batman lore and he's nailing it from just a little bit that I heard, it was a 1-minute trailer. I'm really, really, really excited for this Long Halloween. And I love that part 1 is PG-13, but part 2 is rated R.
Is it now? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what is in that second one that's so wild. You had to go a step up in rating.
Now, hold on a second. Part 2 is Long Halloween 2, or part 2 is the last 6 months of Long Halloween 1?
I think it's going to be last 6 months.
Okay,
because I'm not sure. I don't know if we have to see the first one to know, because I don't think there's been any information on what the second one is.
Because there were 2 Long Halloweens.
Well, sort of. There's Dark Victory is the sequel.
Right. Sorry. Excuse me. Yes.
I don't know if the second part is Dark Victory or an extension of the Long Halloween. I just read
my money would be on the last 6 months.
There you
I
go.
hope so.
Cut in
I mean,
half.
there's been rumors that parts of the Batman could be taken from
Yeah.
That's also true.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see what.
Wait, the cartoon that went 4 series, the Batman?
No,
the movie.
with Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even though I actually am watching.
Don't do that, JD. I love the Batman. I love that.
I do too. Season 4 was great. The last season,
Yeah.
you got to see Nightwing in more than 2 episodes. I like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I also want to give a quick shout out before we get out of here. Beware the Batman. I will forever say this because of Joel. They really effed us over with no season 2 to Green Lantern and no season 2 to Beware the Batman.
I don't remember that one. What was that?
Beware the Batman. That was when you actually saw Professor Professor Pig?
Pig.
Yeah.
They use a lot more pure villains.
They use Magpie, they use Anarchy, they use Slade Wilson.
Oh, they used the Grant Morrison villains. That's why.
Basically.
Right. And Joel, what's the team with Metamorpho and Black Lightning and Katana?
The outside.
The outside.
They were building that, JD. They were building.
Nice.
Yeah.
They were.
Nice.
So we got a chance to what could have been is a world building of that animation of the Green Lantern and Beware the Batman. And because again, children weren't watching it and buying the toys, they cut them.
That
off.
was the one that had what's the name? Alfred as James Bond, right?
Yes, yeah. Essentially,
Like
it was CG. Okay, I didn't see.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that was it. It's also on HBO Max, JD. It's really well done.
It's only one season. Yeah.
It's only one season too, right? But the villains are really good, and it's villains that we've not seen in live action.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was confusing that with the one that where Diedrich Bader did the voice of Batman.
That's what's that one called? Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold. Okay.
Brave and the Bold.
I love that one too.
But yeah, so I don't know, audience, what our next episode is going to be about. That is something we will discuss, and you will have to find out yourself. But there's plenty. We talked about food. We talked about conspiracy theories. We talked about sci-fi. That's the one my dad wants to hop on for, which I'm nervous about. Anytime he gets that excited, I'm like, I'm not gonna get a word in that episode.
Let's go get those sci-fi toys.
I got some. If Star Wars counts as sci-fi, which last time I checked,
Star Wars counts as sci-fi.
I'm prepared. In that.
I know Pete's got that covered in the basement.
Sci-fi fantasy or it's just sci-fi?
You see?
To me, I like to mix it because we didn't
separate. There's a difference.
Thriller.
Yes, there is.
There definitely is. But since we didn't separate horror and thriller.
So wait a second. You mean sci-fi fantasy like Lord of the Rings sci-fi fantasy?
That's what I kind of want to clear up. That's just what I'm asking.
Okay, so sci-fi. Okay, so let me ask you this: when we did these 2 horror episodes, we didn't separate horror from thriller. We just kind of let it be a lump sum. Should we just let sci-fi be one big thing?
I think sci-fi should be sci-fi and fantasy should be fantasy because there's mad fantasy movies that we could probably talk about.
Okay,
and there's mad sci-fi flicks we could talk about.
So wait, let me ask you this: Is Dread sci-fi or sci-fi fantasy?
I would say Dread is sci-fi.
Dread is sci-fi.
It's also a comic book.
God damn it.
So
I thought it might be fantasy.
Is Hellboy sci-fi or is he fantasy?
I would call Hellboy's fantasy, actually.
Okay.
Like, I don't like sci-fi. I find that like you need a certain level of technological advancement to be considered for that.
Okay.
So Star Trek is fantasy. I mean,
sci-fi for sure. And like, just throwing some shit out there.
Sci-fi, is Star Wars sci-fi or sci-fi?
Sci-fi. Well, sci-fi, I would still say.
So fantasy has the elves. Sci-fi has the space.
Yeah.
Let me see this.
Yes.
Let me see this. Because this is going to be the most stressed out.
Because there were things that cross genres, sure, like Crow, for example.
Yes.
But I would still call that sci-fi because it's still mad futuristic, even though there's like monsters and swords and sorcery going on.
They didn't fly in ships, Pete.
They weren't flying ships. That's true.
Pete's 1,000%.
They have
I just looked up the Star Wars movies. Just sci-fi. That's it. No fantasy involved.
Right, because you had stars. They were space. Right? All right, Crow, they came from space, but they were in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Okay.
But they, he had that glaive thing with the
yes,
you know,
so
the
all right,
deadly
where
frisbee.
does Flash Gordon lie? Is that
Sci-fi.
Yeah, I was
Or
gonna say
still go
Batman.
sci-fi. Still gotta
Sci-fi.
go sci-fi.
yeah.
Because you had Hawkmen, you had Robin Hood people, you had ice people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could add. I wouldn't mind
had
adding fantasy
football.
to that, but it's still sci-fi.
Every time I think of Flash Gordon and you said the Hawkman, I did this epic Photoshop of my boy Roger, the director of Pete's Basement, as the leader of the Hawkmen. I can still picture it. I start laughing. I'm sorry,
dude. I used to know Flash and Hawk. Oh my god!
There you go.
See, that's the thing. I can't remember, but I used to have the fucking word for word down. What he would say, I'm down here. Fly your cycle.
You sound just like him.
Dude, Brian Baldwin has that great fucking voice, man.
Yo, I knew that I was old as fuck when I was watching Ted in the theater and Flash Gordon shows up and I was like, yeah, Flash! And nobody else had a word to say. And I'm like, God damn, I'm gonna just sit here.
See, there's half of the screen that knows what they're talking about, and the other half are like, those are some two old fuckheads.
Flash Gordon. I just never liked Flash Gordon.
I swear to you.
Joel, I liked you, like right up until now.
I never knew who he was. I never knew who he was so much to where I thought the Queen song was about Barry Allen. And then I found out. And then I found out, and I was just like, "Oh, okay."
Mind to hang up on your ass right
now. No, I've seen it. I've seen it since, but growing up, it was just like, "Oh, that's really cool." Queen made a song about like Barry Allen, and it was just like, "What is he talking about?" And it was just like
Timothy Dalton, Max von Sydow, Topol.
Yeah, they used to give it on I think Pix or whatever the fuck on every year, at least once or twice, 3 times a year, and I could not.
Always on.
I let the song play, and then once the song was over, I changed the channel. And that was it.
Speaking of theme songs, that is one of the.
I fell in love with the New York Jets because of Flash.
After that, see, that's the thing. I thought the idea of a football player becoming I thought that was a stupid concept. And again, I had a weird thing with blonde.
Oh my god, that's the whole concept of my title, Shielded Intercept. He's a retired athlete.
At the time, I didn't find that.
At the time,
especially as a Giant,
after this conversation,
especially a Jet, I was like, I'm not interested.
So we're gonna end it on that before we lose friendships here.
I had a great moment with Pete.
That has been an all-new episode of Figure It Out. Stay tuned next week where we try to figure out if we want to do sci-fi or sci-fi fantasy. Find out in an all-new episode of Dragon Ball Z. No, just joking. Find out next week on Figure It Out. Huge thank you to Pete, Jaydee, and Joel. And, of course, a shout-out to Tia, who wanted to be here but was just swamped with work. So make sure you guys stay up to date with everything with Jaydee, Pete, Joel. And stay tuned. I just did an amazing interview with Lana from the WWE. So
nice.
Nice.
Fun. And
Lana,
Pete, guess who Lana's favorite superhero is?
Flash
Gordon. Punisher.
Yeah.
I was so shocked when she was sitting there telling me how she's a huge Punisher fan. Her mom's a Daredevil fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Her husband is a fan of what?
She didn't say. Here's the thing, because he's not in WWE, I did not bring him up. She brought him up, but I didn't, because if I did, I would have asked her, how is it having him work for the rival company? And of course I would have been very uncomfortable.
But I know he's a big geek too, dude.
He is. So, he's a gamer and all that shit.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna get her for an interview again. She really enjoyed it. So
you should try to get him.
Yeah, I should try to get. Okay, this is for our talk for our anyway. Thank you guys for tuning in to an all new episode of Figure It Out. We will see you guys same time, same place next week. But till then, peace. I love it, Jaydee.
Teaser, right, for the special episode.